Well, Hillcrest family, thanks for joining us today, this afternoon. We are doing the HCC at Home virtual series. This is the golf section, part 4. Number of topics today. As you can see behind me, I do have my golf bag, and we're going to touch a little bit on some of the tools that we use that are available to us either through the golf shop or we can get on special order as well. But some of the things that we like to use on a regular basis, whether it's warming up, whether it's going through some different drills to fix some things, or otherwise just overall improvement of the golf game. Please feel free, as we're going along today, we're going to provide a lot of information. We're going to touch on a lot of what Cade and Mark already started with the full swing. They've obviously provided some fantastic information, but as all of us know, we hear things a little bit different from different instructors. We certainly understand that, and I hope you do too. So I may repeat some things to some of you watching, or say something just a little bit different, but that's okay. Somebody might hear that a little bit better for them. It might resonate a little bit different this time. But I know we've talked a lot about the basics: grip, stance, alignment, posture, rotation, balance, power, that transfer of the weight from Mark. We're going to touch on a little bit about that today. We're going to implement some of these tools that we have at our disposal. And then also what I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into is using the core a little bit, some of the grip pressure that we apply, and how our grip on our golf club can affect the swing of the club face, squaring it up, keeping it neutral, releasing a little bit too hard, going left, or keeping it to the right, and some of those dynamics that we can work on for improvement. Before we go too far and jump into that, please feel free to write us a question. I'll be checking periodically throughout this session, and I'll try to get those questions answered in a timely manner as well. Otherwise, we'll just have some fun. And as you can see, I'm at home. This is not part of our normal operating procedure. I've kind of made do. I'm fortunate enough, I used some equipment from work and brought here a net and a mat. But a lot of what we'll talk about today doesn't even require these tools. You can just do it without the use of a golf ball, hitting a golf ball, but we'll use it just for example's sake anyway. But I'm at home doing my part. Hope you guys are staying healthy, and otherwise we'll just jump right into it. I purposely did not warm up today. I wanted to kind of go through a warm-up session utilizing this tool in particular. This is the orange whip. There's 3 different sizes to this. This is the normal size, fits all males, all adults, some of your stronger teenagers. There's another smaller size that is a junior size for most of your ladies out there. A little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. That's a pretty heavy, very whippy golf tool here. The other one I have is the speed whip. Much lighter, much smaller. Obviously, its name is pretty indicative of what it's supposed to do. It's for speed training, so we'll implement that as well. So I've cleared out quite a bit of space. I put my golf glove on. I'm anticipating right now that my thought is I'm warming up before I go out and play. A lot of what we see watching from the golf shop, a lot of people don't give themselves enough time to warm up. This tool in particular will give us a lot of things that we can do from a stretch standpoint, warming up those muscles and getting us ready to go in a short period of time. And I'm going to go through some of those right now. So first and foremost, I like to take this tool and just feet shoulder width apart, club out in front of us. We're just using this right now just for stability. We could also use a club if we have it nearby. If you're at home and you don't even have your golf clubs, a broom's going to work. Holding onto the back of a chair is another tool you can use. But otherwise, this right now, right out in front of me, just going to work on good position of the knees, feet shoulder width apart. We're going to throw our hips behind us, and we're going to stretch those arms forward just a little bit. The side angle here. We're pushing our hips behind us. We're trying to stay balanced. What I'm trying to feel is a little bit of stretch in both the lats and the back side of that arm, so that it's telling my body I'm going to get ready to make a golf swing. Okay, once we're doing that, only need to hold it for about 20 seconds or so. Again, in knees slightly bent. I'm going to take my left hand towards the orange part of the club, right hand down below. I'm going to take my top arm, and I'm going to stretch it over. Once I stretch it over, I'm going to go down into that swinging position. I want to feel the stretch along my left arm, or that top arm, because what I'm going to do next, I'm going to go into my back swing, and I'm going to pull with my right arm, pulling back, holding on with my upper arm, and I'm going to stretch into that back turn, that loading up. Okay, I'm trying to stretch that as far as I can without hurting ourselves, and everybody's going to have a different limitation, okay? Whatever you can do is great. Okay, we're going to step back. We're going to go back into it. Again, left hand on top for now, right hand down below. We're going to cross our arms, meet at the elbows. Now I'm going to stretch. I'm going to start turning that left shoulder underneath my chin. You can imagine now, if I had a golf club in my hand, I'm in a very good position at the top. I'm loaded. My hips have rotated about 45 degrees. I'm almost at 90 degrees with my upper body, and I'm just feeling that stretch on that right side. Okay? Now we're going to go into the other side. Okay, so right hand up on top now, left hand down below. Same thing. We're going to cross over. We're going to focus the attention on this right shoulder, right lat area. Again, knee shoulder width apart. We're going to stretch through. Now I'm going to go right on through my finish. It's going to feel a little bit different. Pulling with my left, extending with my right. Holding that balance as well. I think that's another thing Travis talked about this morning in his wellness session, was so much of that core stability and strength. And none more important in the golf swing than how engaged your core is. So everything that I'm doing is going to be with an engaged core, okay? That's where when I do this stretch, I'm going to try to engage that core, get in that golfer's position so that I'm ready to go. I'm always training myself to be stable and holding on with that trunk, okay? So next, after we've gotten that stretch both on the right side and left side, my upper body feels pretty good. Next thing I want to do using this tool is weighted. So going in big circles to start. Try not to go much higher than just shoulder level. We definitely don't want to raise it much higher than that. That's when injuries can occur. Usually 10 to 15 circles, and then start going with your small circles. Okay, I want to start this. Where I start to feel this is really the burn in the shoulders. I'm telling my body, man, I'm about to swing the golf club. I'm about to walk 9 or 18 holes. We're going to switch. I need to be ready, loosened up, and ready to rock. So big circles, try not to go any higher than just your shoulder. This weighted orange whip kind of pulls me over to my side, so I have to be balanced, okay? Now small swing, small circles. Good. Okay. Once we're done with that, I'm going to set this one aside. I've got another club that we can use. This is a weighted bar. This is one of Mark Johnson's tools that he uses quite a bit. What I want to do with this one today, again, considering that we are just in warm-up mode right now, is taking this weighted bar above the head, over the shoulders, okay? We are going to go into a golfer's position, so feet shoulder width apart, chest up, arms back, just holding this for support, okay? Keeping our rear end behind us for stability. We're going to go down into a small squat about 4 or 5 times, okay? Trying to keep our chest up so that we don't lean too far forward. Travis talked a lot about that posture today, keeping those 3 points between the head, the upper back, and then the lower part of your back. This makes so much more sense now. If we round out, that's when the injury occurs, okay? So shoulder width apart. Again, 4 or 5 squats. I like to get my legs warmed up too. They're where my big power source comes from. Some of the bigger muscles that we have are down below. Okay? We'll come back to that one as a weighted bar a little bit later. So my body's pretty loosened up. Okay? We are warm. We're ready to rock and roll. Again, I'm assuming I just came straight from my car. Clubs are loaded up. Maybe I went to the 19th hole, restroom, locker room, so whatsoever. Now I've got to go out to the first tee. I'm waiting for my 3 other partners to go hit. I'm going. Okay? So we got limited time. Now what I want, got the shoulders loosened up. I've stretched out a little bit. I got my legs engaged. I'm going to start swinging the club nice and slow. Again, this is a weighted whip. Okay? Notice how much lag there is in this tool here. Okay? I'm going to swing above ground. Just going to get it started. Working on balance first, rotation second, and stretching third. When I mean stretching, this club is naturally heavy. It's going to pull us further and further during that rotational period. Okay? So as you start to swing a little bit more and get more range of motion during the session, you're going to be able to swing it farther back. What we want to make sure we're doing is keeping your feet underneath you, keep your good posture. As you might have remembered when Cade and Mark were talking about their rotation, everything was under balance, under control. This big, heavy club's got an opportunity to really take us off balance, one way or the other. As it gets so heavy and we're holding on to it here, it provides our muscles an opportunity to be engaged, to learn what it's like to hold on to this position at the top, okay, and also to transition, okay, with some power coming back through. And last but certainly not least, when we get going, there's so much more momentum that pulls us over to this finish, which is great. I think it's one of the least talked about challenges that will benefit us when we learn how to get, down the road a little bit further. The full swing is when we finish the club, finish that swing. If I can finish balanced, and we'll talk about this a little later, if I finish balanced facing my target, almost everything else took care of itself, okay? So let me check real quick. Okay, wonderful. No questions yet, but please, as we go, ask them. We'll get to them. Okay, so we've done the big whip. We're ready to go. I'm assuming you went out and played your golf. Now we're going to work on the small whip. And some of the things that I want us to focus on with this one is, I mentioned it earlier, it's the core. It's that balance. And it's being able to control your body and utilizing what your physique is like to generate more power and speed, okay? And I know we talked a little bit about it with having leverage points, right? Utilizing those wrists and that hinge a little bit, which is super important when we're trying to generate power. What this speed club will allow us to do is there's more weight down here, there's a little bit less up on top. We can swing this for speed, and I want you to pay attention to the balance that you have. So again, good golfer's position. Nice and smooth takeaway. Okay, a lot of speed was developed, generated, but if you notice, my biggest point of emphasis was the balance at the end. It does me no good to be unbalanced just to swing it an extra 2 or 3 miles per hour. One thing will always remain true: if we can't hit the center of the club face, we're going to lose distance. We're going to lose all of that energy that we're trying to transfer. So again, it's that core stability, utilizing the weight of this club and good balance to generate speed. Now, a couple of things I wanted to hit on that are going to allow us to generate that speed, other than just being balanced and engaging that core. One of the things is with these weighted clubs it's almost real easy to collapse that left arm and get that club brought in closer to your body. Okay, so even when we get out here, we want to create that separation of the arms from the body. We don't want it nice and close, because in here, I just can't swing it as fast. No matter what I do, I can't swing that club as fast as if I'm extended out with that left side, getting those arms behind me a little bit up here. Okay, so one thing to think about, like Mark said, we're going to extend the left, let the right relax. Okay, I'm loaded up. The other thing that I feel is very important when we're trying to get that good speed and good balance is good leg work. The left leg for a right-hand golfer, when we get loaded up, should have some release to it, some give, almost like the old school way was we pick up that left heel. And that's perfectly fine if you're comfortable with doing that. To me, it's a sign of excellent athleticism, in my opinion. So for this purpose, though, extend that left side, making sure that we're focused on that width of the golf swing. Again, the further away that we can have our hands at that backswing generates a lot more power and speed. If you think about the difference of distance between a pitching wedge and a driver, a lot of it has to do with the length of the golf club. So a pitching wedge is much shorter and the driver is much longer. The driver just produces so much more club head speed. Therefore, it's going to be a lot faster. Well, if we take that same concept of just the length of our arms, if they get short, we're going to hit it short. If they remain long and extended, okay, a lot of width, that has an opportunity to create a tremendous amount more power. Okay, so last thing I want to do when we're training for this speed, we're training our body to swing really hard. Then we actually turn around, we train the body to go the opposite direction. Just like a bicep and a tricep, or your abs and your back muscles, your back's only as strong as your core is only as strong as your back. Biceps only as strong as your triceps, so on and so forth. So we got to train the opposite direction. Okay, good balance. I'm turning those hips. I'm creating that width. Okay, I'm just making sure the body understands I'm trying to go hard and fast with this one. Okay, so that's one drill. Now, the other thing that we can do, the tool we have at our disposal, the old speed whoosh. Fun part about this one, it has a little grip reminder on there, which I think is very convenient, because I'm going to talk a lot about that here in just a second once I get through these tools. Okay, this has a little ball that slides back and forth. Okay, so grip reminder allows us to have our hands on there. We want to start with our wrists nice and already flexed. Really, we want them in that position that we would have up here at the top. Okay, what the purpose of this is, this ball is going to slide down that shaft, and we want it to be slapping the end of this club over here to our left, which means we held our angle and our width of our swing as long as we could, and then the last second we released it in a position that maximizes that speed at the end of the club. Okay, so again, good position here, wrists already in a good nice locked position, hinged position up to the top. Okay, you may notice I released a little bit early so the ball went up out here as opposed to down below. We'll start over. Up to the top. Okay, good. Much better. Heard it down here. The other thing that this club works on is tempo. If we take it back too fast, now all of a sudden you notice that ball went right to the top. Okay, so that tempo is going to be crucial as well. Nice and slow. And right on through. Okay? Set that on the side. Okay. Great. Providing so much good information. There aren't any questions. Be sure that if you do have some questions, send us an email, give us a call. If you're still on there and you have one, fire it over to me and we'll get you dialed in. So, mentioned earlier in this, one of the big things I want to talk about was the grip and how that is going to affect the club face and how the club face is going to remain square throughout impact, okay? Very important. I like to think of things very naturally. So if I stand here, arms to my side, hands to my side, my palms naturally face my body, okay? So if I bring them out in front of me and I grab the club in such a way that mimics my hands in a natural position, again, as Mark mentioned, most of the pressure is going to be in the bottom 3 fingers of the left hand, with the remaining 7 fingers on there is in a comfortable position. So if I have the toe of the golf club straight up in the air, okay, and I grip that golf club in a very natural, normal position, meaning from where my arms normally hang on my right side, it's almost identical, okay? Hand just sits there natural, goes on there, very normal. Same thing with the left side, okay? Natural position, go to grip, not much changed. That's very important because if our hands are in a much more natural position to begin with, the club has a better chance of returning back to the position you're holding it. That's key as well. Let's assume I'm holding that club in a very neutral position and the club face is pointed exactly at my target. I'm set up for success as long as I allow the club to swing around my rotation and I don't try to overwork it, okay? So now we're going to talk about that hand activity that we had mentioned earlier in the session. We've got a good grip on there. One of the key things that we can do to make sure that we have that is if you grab a golf tee, stick a golf tee in between the thumb and your index finger of your right hand, put your right hand on there, that should almost align with the blade of your club face, okay? So as you do that, that'll tell you whether or not you've got a pretty neutral grip, or if it's closed, it's going to be over to the right side. Meaning, when it's closed, my hand turned over, okay, over here to this right side. Now the tee is pointing over to my right. Well, what happens if I take my hand off and I keep that same position? My palms facing toward in the front. When I bring that back to a normal position, it's going to close that club face down, okay? So it's going to naturally take that club and it's going to close it down, okay? So what we're going to do in the golf swing is make sure that we have a nice neutral grip, okay? When we get down to that, the position where Mark described as accelerating through that full extension through to the finish, it's important that we have a good idea of what the back side or the left side of my hand is doing. Before we do that, it looks like we have a question. They have a tendency to re-grip with the hand at the top. How do I stop that? Great question. So which hand? Re-grip. A lot of times what we see when we get to the top of the swing and somebody re-grips it, they've probably swung too far, okay? They've gotten all the way up here to the top, and they're then grabbing onto that club in a different position, or it's gotten so far away from them that the club just naturally torquing and it's pulling away. What we want to do is just make sure that the grip pressure is set in a position where you're in control, not too tight, not too soft, and otherwise that club doesn't have an opportunity to go anywhere. If it's moving, you're not gripping it tight enough. Sounds backwards to say, but if it's moving in your hands, you're letting go of it at some point, meaning you don't have that control that you think you do, okay? So try messing around with a little bit of that grip pressure. Okay, so assuming we've got our good, nice neutral grip on there, let's say we had a really good swing path, that club's coming through, and we start to turn into the golf ball. If we were to really slow this down, we would notice that the club's in a different position right here than it is right here, and we tried to square that up. More often than not, what we see is an early release. We're trying to turn through, but we release the club early. It closes that club face, ball goes left, or they release it early and they hold on really steep, ball goes off to the right. One thing that we want to keep in mind is that left hand. Okay, when we come through and impact, and we're coming down, that left side's clearing out of the way. Our left hand's going to tell us how square that club face is. If we can keep this left hand, the back of the wrist and the thumb going towards my target without letting the right hand and the club pass in front of that, we're going to be in a much more square position, okay? If I take my left hand and I rotate it over to the left, okay, so if I take it and I rotate this really hard over here to the left where my thumbs are starting to point down range, that club is now pointed left. The ball's going to start left and probably continue left, okay? All because that left hand over-rotated. We didn't keep it stable coming into that good impact position. Same thing for when it goes off to the right. Oftentimes we under-rotate it, leaving that club face just wide open, and we don't release it very well. We see that ball squirt off to the right, a lot of side spin, and we lose control, we lose impact, we lose a lot of power, okay? So one thing I like to keep in mind is, what we talked about a little bit earlier. When we're coming through the golf shot, feel like the back of that left hand is going to go slap the wall, okay? Here, it's not going to hurt if I hit it square with the back of my left hand. Now, if I turn my left hand over and I'm hitting it with my thumb, it's going to hurt, okay? We don't want to get the hitchhiker going left. We want to point it straight forward, assuming that we can get that club face nice and square. Same thing if I keep it under-rotated. Now I'm hitting it with the bottom side. Hear that pinky or that fat part of the hand. We want to hit it directly on that FootJoy logo or square the back of the hand, okay? If I keep that position of my hand coming through and I finish the golf swing much more solid, you're naturally going to release the club at the bottom of the swing where it's supposed to and create a lot more power, a lot more consistency, and better scoring. Okay, so again, keeping that hand going down range, not letting the club pass in front of my hands. Okay, nice good balance. Okay, so if I were to slow that down just a fraction, what I'm sensing, I'm feeling like I'm holding this as long as I can. If I turn and just hold that position as long as I can, naturally I'm going to want to go hit the golf ball, and my right hand allows us to go feel that impact. So again, nice and slow here. Okay. How about that left hand? Last thing I want to talk about today is just finishing that golf swing. Okay. Again, we talked a lot about good position, keeping good width of the swing, good hand position, good balance, good core, all of that. Good weight transfer. One of the biggest things is if I can get any swing back here, that's great. If I can just follow through balanced, we're going to have great success in the golf swing. So my only focus right here is to get my belly button facing my target with good rhythm, good tempo, and good balance. Okay? Last indicator to know if you finished well is if you can hold your balance there. If you can hold it for 3 to 5 seconds, imagine you just hit that great shot, because I know you did, you're going to be in a better position. That ends our time today. We're going to cut it off now. Again, if you have any questions, I hope you enjoyed this. Please email us. Please call us. I hope you guys are staying safe. Hope everybody's still got a smile on their face. We're able to play some golf a little bit. And otherwise, I thank you all for watching. Hopefully you took a little bit of this and you can implement this in your golf games. And hopefully we'll see you out there soon. All right, take care.